You may have taken note by now, but I love me some video games. They're the premier interactive art medium, and they have a rich, vibrant history. They've always been a method of self-expression and exploration, both for developers and consumers, but the form of said expression has shifted drastically over the years. There was the rise, perpetuation, and arguable fall of challenge-focused game design, the booming popularity in narrative-centric interactive stories sometime in the 2010s, and the deservedly much despised advent of predatory mobile game microtransactions. Each era of our medium is valuable in its own way, and they often bleed into one another. After all, art arises from inspiration, and prior art inspires newer creations. Whether you love or hate games, all of them came from somewhere in their own unique cultural and temporal context. Examining that context is beneficial to understanding what we consume, why we consume it, and how video games function as an industry and art form. That is to say, playing old games has a lot of value. Not just personal entertainment value, but educational value. To experience old art is to see the world from new perspectives, or old ones, I suppose. To sympathize and define the feelings and beliefs of the past. To engross oneself in history. Unfortunately, the options to do such are increasingly deliberately limited by media corporations who destroy video games. You may recall I made a big dramatic fuss when Babylon's Fall and Battleborn bit the bucket, rendering them completely unplayable. Rightfully so, because I loved both of those games, and both of them had valuable things to say about our medium. Babylon's Fall was a tightly focused character action title, which was forcibly retrofitted into a subscription service online-only loot fest at Square Enix's demand. And Battleborn was a character-driven MOBA FPS with in-depth world-building, which fell to ruin through both Overwatch's superior presentation and Gearbox's damaged reputation. That Babylon's Fall and Battleborn were disliked doesn't make them less valuable to history. If anything, it makes them more precious. History is all too often written by the victors, but definition and clarity requires contrast. It is not enough to read about these IPs or their reception as relative to other games, because video games are interactive, and their context and definition are only preserved as long as they are playable. But even putting aside this passionate tirade about the importance in cultural preservation, these games meant something to people. When a single dedicated fan brought Battleborn back to life, the Discord was flooded with life. People reminiscing, excitedly re-experiencing one of their favorite games, and I was among them. My brother put in an additional 13 hours in Battleborn's fan revival, in just a couple weeks. We excitedly discussed the characterization, the game feel, the variety in mission objectives. However despised or ignored Battleborn may have been by the masses, it matters to us in a big way. And we should have the right to experience it. Everyone should. I don't need to worry about some corporate overlord descending from on high and slaughtering my copies of Shreddit, or Dragon Quest Heroes, or Magus on the PS3, or whatever else I feel like playing. And it shouldn't matter whether the art I love was well received, financially successful, or impactful. Those factors arguably give them more value, sure, but art exists to communicate ideas. And as long as a single soul might be touched by said ideas, they ought to exist and ought to be experienced.